He lay there on the bed unresponsive. She had tried everything to make him come back to his senses, slapped him several times, poured ice water on him, and even tried hot water, but there was no response. His eyes were open, but he was not reacting. She went to get the anointing oil her mother had given to her when she was leaving for school and poured the whole bottle on him while praying fervently, but still there was no response. In the heart of Nigeria lay the small village of Aboh. The village, with its red earth road and thatched roof houses, was a haven of tradition and community. It was a village where everyone knew each other. Cynthia was born into a humble home in Aboh. Her parents, hardworking and loving, tilled the land and sold produce at the market to provide for their family. Despite their modest means, Cynthia's family was rich in love and community spirit. Her mother, Nella, was known for her kind heart and skill with herbs, while her father, Mike, was a respected farmer whose hands were calloused from years of labor. From an early age, Cynthia exhibited a bright and inquisitive mind. She was determined to rise above her circumstances and make something of herself. Her parents, recognizing her potential, encouraged her to pursue her dreams, even if it meant great sacrifices on their path. When Cynthia received admission to study in the prestigious University of Lagos, her parents were overjoyed. They scraped together their life savings and sold their prized possessions to ensure she could go. On the day she left, the village gathered to wish her well. Nella and Mike embraced her tightly, their eyes filled with tears of pride and hope. "Remember your roots, Cynthia," Nella whispered. "Stay true to whom you are." "I will, Mama, I promise," Cynthia replied, her heart swelling with gratitude and determination. Lagos was a bustling metropolis, a stark contrast to the quiet village of Aboh. The sprawling campus of the university was filled with students from diverse backgrounds, each bringing their own unique stories and dreams. Cynthia quickly noticed the disparity between her own simple lifestyle and the opulence displayed by many of her peers. Expensive wigs, designer bags, and flashy cars were commonplace. Despite her natural beauty and intelligence, she was overshadowed by the glamour surrounding her friends and classmates. Among her new friends and classmates was Miriam, a girl Cynthia had known since childhood. Miriam's transformation was astounding. She was from a poor home like her, but now she drove an expensive car, lived in a luxurious duplex, and took vacations abroad. Her lifestyle was funded by her wealthy boyfriends and sugar daddies, who lavished her with expensive gifts and money. One evening, unable to contain her curiosity any longer, Cynthia confronted Miriam. "Miriam, we grew up together. How did you manage to change your life so dramatically? Please show me the way." Miriam hesitated at first, reluctant to divulge her secrets, but Cynthia's persistence wore her down. She eventually agreed to take Cynthia to the source of her newfound wealth, an old woman known as Alaja, a purveyor of Kayanmata, mystical charms and potions said to enhance a woman's allure and control over men. Alaja's shop was a small, unassuming hut at the edge of the city, filled with strange and exotic wares. The air was thick with the scent of incense and herbs. Alaja, a wizened woman with piercing eyes, welcomed them in. "You seek power and wealth?" she asked, her voice both soothing and unsettling. Cynthia nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. "There is a price," Alaja continued. 40% of everything you receive from your men will be mine. Gifts, money, properties, all of it. Do you accept?" Alaja asked. Desperate for a taste of the life she envied, Cynthia agreed immediately. Alaja gave her a small, intricately carved box filled with various Kayanmata items and strict instructions on how to use them. With her newfound charms, Cynthia quickly ascended the social ladder. Wealthy men showered her with attention and gifts. She could afford the luxurious lifestyle she had always dreamed of. Expensive wigs, designer clothes, and lavish parties became her new normal. Her allure was undeniable, and even her lecturers were not immune to her charms. Some she bribed, others she seduced, including the female lecturers, ensuring she passed her courses without attending classes or reading. Cynthia's success bred greed. She began to resent the 40% cut she owed Alaja. She felt it was too much money to give to Alaja when she, Cynthia, did all the work. Seeking a way to keep all her earnings, she started looking for alternatives. One day, while at a salon getting her hair done, a woman approached her, advertising her Kayanmata products at a much lower price, with no extra agreement or contract. Intrigued, Cynthia decided to give it a try. At that time, one of the men Cynthia was dating was a billionaire named Chief Obi, who had been reluctant to fulfill her latest extravagant request, a mansion in an exclusive estate in Lekki, worth over 400 million naira. He kept telling her to hold on. He had just bought and furnished the 3-bedroom duplex she was living in. He needed to recover the money spent. But Cynthia insisted she wanted the new house. Miriam's sugar daddy had just gotten her a mansion in that estate, and she, Cynthia, wanted one. She did not want Miriam to outdo her. Frustrated by his hesitation, she decided to use the new Kayanmata products she bought on him. It was a transparent liquid in a small bottle. She poured the entire liquid into his food during a romantic dinner she planned for them in her house. On this fateful day, she promised Chief Obi a night of passion. Chief, excited, hurriedly came to Cynthia's house without his security detail. The effect of the Kayanmata was immediate and horrifying. Chief Obi lost control of his senses, becoming a shadow of his former self. Confused and incoherent, his sudden descent into madness caused a stir. Cynthia panicked, trying to get him to come to his senses, but he acted as though he was on another planet. She immediately switched off his phones as she noticed Chief Obi's wife was constantly calling him. That night, Chief Obi's wife, his children, and bodyguards searched frantically for him, their concern growing as he failed to return home and his phone, which was previously connecting, was now switched off. Chief Obi became worse the next day. He laid on the bed unresponsive. She had tried everything to make him come back to her senses, slapped him several times, poured ice water on him, and even tried hot water, but there was no response. His eyes were open, but he was not reacting. She went to get the anointing oil her mother had given her when she was leaving for school and poured the whole bottle on him while praying fervently, but there was no response. Realizing the severity of the situation, Cynthia was gripped with fear. She panicked and returned to the salon, desperate to find the Kayanmata seller, but the woman was nowhere to be found. The seller was a transient hawker with no fixed location, and no one had seen her there before, leaving Cynthia with no way to reverse the damage. As Chief Obi's condition deteriorated, Cynthia finally decided to take him to the hospital, but it was too late. Chief Obi died en route, his bodyguards arriving just in time to see his lifeless form being wheeled into the emergency room. The news of Chief Obi's death spread quickly. Cynthia was arrested and charged with murder. The once admired university beauty was now a pariah, her life unraveling in the most public and humiliating way. Cynthia could not believe this was happening to her. During her trial, the full extent of Cynthia's actions were revealed. The use of Kayanmata, the manipulation and the greed that led to Chief Obi's death. She tried to plead her innocence in court, but the court showed no mercy. She was sentenced to a lengthy prison term. In her prison cell, Cynthia had plenty of time to reflect on her choices. The wealth and glamour she had so desperately sought now seemed hollow and meaningless. She realized too late that true happiness and fulfillment could not be bought or manipulated. it had to be earned through honesty, hard work, and integrity. Values her parents had tried to instill in her. Determined to atone for her sins, Cynthia began to seek redemption. She joined the prison's educational programs, helping other inmates learn to read and write. She acquired as many skills as she could. She also volunteered for laborious tasks, earning the respect of her fellow inmates and wardresses. One day, a social worker and lawyer named Stella visited the prison. She was struck by Cynthia's intelligence and resolve. She saw how remorseful she was and how she helped other inmates. Stella decided to help Cynthia by providing her with free legal advice and opportunities for an early release. Through Stella's guidance, Cynthia began to reach out to Chief Obi's family, seeking their forgiveness. Though it was a slow and painful process, she was determined to make amends. Stella introduced Cynthia to a group of influential women who had once been in precarious positions. They became her mentors, teaching her about resilience, empowerment, and the importance of integrity. Cynthia began to rebuild her life with the support of her mentors. She wrote letters to her parents who had disowned her after the shame she had brought them, apologizing for her mistakes and promising to make them proud. She also started writing a book. She wanted to share her story with young women to warn them of the dangers of greed and shortcuts to success. During a prison event, Cynthia met a man named Stanley, who was volunteering as a teacher. Stanley was compassionate and saw beyond Cynthia's past. They formed a deep bond, finding solace and strength in each other's company. Stanley visited Cynthia more frequently, and he would bring her food and all the necessities she needed. Their friendship blossomed into love. Stanley's belief in Cynthia's potential helped her stay focused on her path to redemption. Through Stella's legal efforts, Cynthia's case was re-evaluated. Her sentence was reduced, and she was given an opportunity for early release based on her good behavior and effort at rehabilitation. After her release, Cynthia returned to Aboh. The village was initially wary, and her parents refused to let her in. But her genuine remorse and efforts to make amends gradually won them over. Stanley has stood by Cynthia through the most challenging period of her life. His unwavering support and love had given her the strength to persevere. Upon her return to Aboh, Stanley proposed, asking her to marry him and start a new chapter together. Cynthia, filled with gratitude and love, accepted his proposal. She had thought her life was over. Now she had the chance to start over with a man who truly loved her. She solemnly vowed to build a life founded on honesty and mutual respect. Cynthia's parents, Nella and Mike, were overwhelmed with emotions when their daughter, who had returned home from prison, got engaged. Although her journey had been marred by mistakes, her genuine remorse and determination to make amends touched their hearts. The family worked together to rebuild their relationship, sharing stories, laughter, and tears, finding strength in their renewed bond. The villagers of Aboh initially viewed Cynthia with suspicion, but as they witnessed her efforts to contribute positively to the community, their attitudes began to change. Cynthia volunteered at the local school, teaching children and helping with village projects. Her actions spoke louder than her past, gradually winning the villagers' trust and respect. She was determined to make a meaningful impact. Cynthia spearheaded several community projects. She organized literacy programs for women, agricultural workshops to improve farming techniques, and health camps to address common medical issues. She utilized all the skills she had acquired from prison to make her village better. She wanted Aboh to become more modern. Few months later, Cynthia and Stanley were married in a joyous celebration, attended by the entire village. And as she looked at the smiling faces, Cynthia realized that true wealth wasn't found in material possession, but in the love and respect of our community. Her journey had come to a full circle, and she vowed to build a life based on honesty, integrity, and meaningful contributions to society. This brought her a sense of fulfillment she had never known. She was glad she hadn't given up while she was in prison and had turned her situation around. No matter how bad the situation may be, there is always room for change and improvement.